Top stories. President Sahle-Work Zewde inaugurates oxygen production centers in Bahir Dar and Dessie towns. Ethiopian Group CEO says report invalidates allegations. And Egypt decrees 80% salary raise. Hello and thank you all for joining us. I'm Tabitha John. You're watching Addis News Hour. Stay with us. Ethiopian President Sahle-Work Zewde officially inaugurated the medical oxygen production centers constructed in Bahir Dar, Felege Hiwet and Dessie referral hospitals in Amhara regional states. The construction of the centers in Ethiopia is instrumental to bridge the gaps facing the health centers in the country. Tewolde GebreMariam has more.
Oxygen supply is now among the top agendas to address the health problem across the nation. As the health centers in Ethiopia do not provide adequate oxygen to patients, many are losing their lives. The newly inaugurated medical oxygen production centers in Felege Hiwet and Dessie referral hospitals are expected to increase the supply of medical oxygen to hospitals and clinics in the region and beyond. Unveiling the centers were Ethiopian President Sahle-Work Zewde and Health Minister Dr. Amir Amam and Chief Administrator of the Amhara State, Ambacho Makonnen.
The realizations of medical oxygen centers illustrate the strong bond between government and non-government organizations. This can also be a model to those who want to engage in the sector in other parts of Ethiopia and Africa at large.
We have a plan to build 30 medical oxygen production centers across the country by the end of the coming Ethiopian year. So far, we have built 6 centers and we will construct the remaining centers within the coming 15 months. Thus, we can raise the coverage of oxygen centers from 20% to 60%.
We'll work to expand and strengthen this medical oxygen center in the future, and we believe that it will save lives of many people.
The project is constructed at a total cost of 70 million birr, of which 10 million birr is located from the regional state, while the remaining amount is secured from international organizations.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed holds popular discussions with residents of Bedeli town and its environs in Armenia regional state. Addressing the residents earlier today, Abiy stressed on the need to nurture solidarity and brotherhood. Questions of infrastructure and social services were among the queries forwarded to the Premier.
We want the construction of roads, and our town should grow and develop. We want you to support the development initiatives of our town. We appreciate the political changes and developments you have brought to this country, and we would like to assure you that you will have all our supports.
Responding to the questions, Abiy vowed to do what it takes to swiftly deliver his promises.
The federal government, in collaboration with the regional government, will give attention to the development of the Bedeli city. Bedeli is the country's coffee production corridor, so we would work on initiatives that meaningfully transform the town and the lives of its residents.
Hello and thank you all for joining us. I'm Tabitha John. You're watching.
ተላስተን ተመልካቾቻችን ዜና በምስል ቋንቋ ቀርባለሁ።
The president of Ethiopia is Michael Margaret. I feel today
Welcome back. The Ministry of Science and Higher Education discloses that only 46 private higher education institutions are operating as per the standards of the government. A draft code of conduct aiming to ensure accountability is under discussion. David Melak reports on this.
There are about 176 private higher education institutions in Ethiopia teaching in fields of studies at various levels. The Ministry of Science and Higher Education unveils only 46 of them fulfill the relevant qualifications and quality standards set by the responsible government body. Professor Tewolde GebreMariam, Minister of Science and Higher Education, says her office has finalized preparation to take serious measures against illegal institutions. According to Hirut, a study conducted in Addis Ababa has found out that there are serious erosions of rules and regulations that require swift intervention from the government side.
በአንድ ወር በሁለት ወር የሰጡና ሰርቲፋይ ያደረጉ ተቋማት
The misconducts and violence of rules and regulations seem require urgent serious interventions. There exists a trend of operating in the sector without formally registered and getting. Teaching beyond scope approved by HERCA is also another challenge. Fraud, cheating and criminal conducts like having two registrar offices that governmental bodies are the major problem observed.
Such discrepancies have dire consequences. National level, argues Director of HERCA, a government institution responsible for accreditation and quality assurance issues with higher learning institutions.
HERCA will make 3 interventions to improve such things. First, we will introduce a modern administration system. Next, we ensure accountability. And third, we will take serious measures that assert responsibility, including closing those institutions that are illegal or those that are performing under stated rules and principles.
The Ministry of Science and Higher Education discloses that only 46 private higher education institutions are operating as per the standards of the government. A draft code of conduct aiming to ensure accountability is under discussion.
St. Paul Millennium Medical College launches a digital medical library. Students can now access to over 7,000 soft copy books easily. Habtamu Ashagri has more.
St. Paul's Millennium Medical College has made available a digital library for its students. Dawit Getinet, who is the 5th year student, is happy over the new facility and says the digital library is energy and time efficient.
የራሳችን የሆነ ዩዘር ኔም አለን የራሳችን የሆነ ፓስወርድ አለን
We have our username and password to use this digital library. We just log in and select books that we want to read. It is easy and accessible, unlike the analog library, which takes your time. The regular library doesn't provide latest editions, but this one provides update versions.
In addition to having access to up-to-date materials, Dawit says digitalized library also gives entry to audio and video services that bolster students' research capacity.
ወደ መደበኛ ላይብራሪ ሲሄድ ኦዲዮ ቪዥዋል የሆኑ ነገሮችን አታገኙ በምስል የምታገኛቸው ነገሮች አሉ
There is no way to find video and audio books in regular libraries, and it is a must for a medical student to have access to such things at the course we take or require practice. Lecture videos and animations are so important for a medical student to get a good grasp of his lessons. So I believe the digital library would be important for a good result.
Udina Shalamayo, who is nursing student at St. Paul, supports Dawit's idea. She is excited about the digital library, which she can use from anywhere through her smartphone.
This digital library is mainly special due to its accessibility. We can use it out of the library by using our tabs, smartphones. We can even download what we need.
Director of St. Paul Millennium Medical College Library, Alamayo Bisra, talks about its benefits many-wise.
ሃርድ ኮፒውን ወደ ሶፍት ኮፒ መቀየሩ ስራ ለምንድነው የሚያግዛል ወጪ ቆጣቢ
Translating hard copy books into soft copy helps us to reduce our expense. If you want to buy one book, you may invest an average of 400 or 500 USD and you will need to have 20 copies at least. So, we buy books and change them into digital system where every student can read.
St. Paul Hospital established in 1968 by the late Emperor Haile Selassie.
Ethiopia and Armenia have signed an agreement to sustain their long-standing historical and cultural ties. Their agreement is expected to support Ethiopia's economic development with technology and innovation. Jerusalem Betsaha has more.
Armenian Foreign Minister Zoran Minete-Sekanian is in Ethiopia for a 3-day official visit. Top Armenian diplomats have been holding talks and dwelling on important issues that could help the two countries boost their cooperation. A memorandum of understanding which aims to strengthen their relationship in technology and innovation has also been signed. Armenia's foreign minister on the signing expressed his country's keenness to strengthen the long-standing historical and cultural ties with Ethiopia.
Innovation, information technologies, high technologies are exactly the tools that need to be transferred in the hands of the people so that they are looking after their lives and their wealth generation. We in Armenia have a very interesting example, very interesting national experience of exactly developing that sector in our economy.
Ethiopia's Minister of Innovation and Technology, Getachew Mekria, for his part said the cooperation of Ethiopia with Armenia in technology and innovation would be significant to improve e-government services in the country.
The foreign minister pledges to give laboratory equipment worth $1.5 million. We are grateful for that. We will distribute and install laboratory equipment into 50 high schools with the aim of supporting the youth to be successful in science, technology, engineering and mathematics. This would also be helpful for the youth to be entrepreneurs and innovators.
He added the cooperation would have an additional significance to support the country's reform in transferring government directives to the people using science and technology.
Our service system should be improved through technology at all levels. Hence, this is a good opportunity to learn from Armenians on how to improve our services. We should also improve our use of science and technology in education, health, and other governmental institutions to foster our country's reforms.
The relationship between Ethiopia and Armenia dates back to the 1950s. The two nations have developed strong ties in religion and music.
In business, Ethiopian Airlines Group CEO Tewolde GebreMariam says the preliminary report on the investigations of the crashed Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 invalidates allegation against the airline. Talking to CNN, Tewolde expressed confidence on the aviation giant Boeing despite faults on its 737 MAX 8 aircrafts. Solomon Danye has more.
Investigators have completed their preliminary report into the crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 that crashed 6 minutes after takeoff from Addis Ababa on a flight to Nairobi last month. The report shows how the two pilots battled the Boeing 737 MAX 8's automated flight control systems almost from the start of the flight. Despite following Boeing safety procedures, they were unable to regain control of the aircraft, investigators found. Speaking about the initial report of the investigation team, CEO of Ethiopian Airlines Group, Tewolde GebreMariam, said the report bashes all speculations towards the airlines and its pilots.
Today, I'm more relieved on the some doubts being aired by some medias, some false allegations, some false speculations. We have now put them all to rest because it has been proved that the pilots were well trained and they have demonstrated in exercising all the emergency procedures recommended by the manufacturer and approved by the regulator.
Asked about the airline's confidence over the action Boeing is taking on the so-called software patch, Tewolde declines to say yes.
No, we cannot be confident at this stage. As you know, even Boeing is testing the solution. So it is still at its initial stage. We will have to learn more about it. The industry is trying to learn more about it. Regulators are trying to learn more about it. And then it has to go through the FAA certification. So we cannot comment on that because it's really at a very early stage.
Tewolde says he chooses to stay positive till the final investigation result comes out,
When asked whether or not he gets surprised by the initial report's limitation to clearly put which system forces the aircraft is nose down.
I'm not surprised because this is a preliminary report, and the accident investigation is going to continue with detailed analysis. So at this stage, all what we know from the FDR and CVR is that there were uncommanded nosedive automatic activation 3 times in the airplane.
Right.
So further, we have to find out what part of the flight control system was causing this uncommanded nosedive activation.
The final report could take about a year to complete, it was noted.
Boeing CEO has for the first time acknowledged that automated flight system on jet played a role in the Ethiopian plane crash and that of Indonesia's 5 months earlier. The apology came after Ethiopian Ministry of Transport released their preliminary report on the fatal crash. Kifleya Susabebe has more from CGTN.
We at Boeing are sorry for the lives lost in the recent 737 MAX accidents. These tragedies continue to weigh heavily on our hearts and minds, and we extend our sympathies to the loved ones of the passengers and crew on board Lion Air Flight 610 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302.
The apology from the world's aviation giant came after Ethiopia released the preliminary report on the March 10 plane crash that killed 157 people. And for the first time, Boeing acknowledged in a short video that bad data feeding into an uninstalled system on 737 MAX jet played a role in both crashes.
The full details of what happened in these 2 accidents will be issued by the government authorities in the final reports. But with the release of the preliminary report of the Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 accident investigation, it's apparent that in both flights, the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, known as MCAS, activated in response to erroneous angle of attack information.
Simply speaking, the MCAS system can automatically lower the plane's nose to prevent engine stalling in sort of circumstances. The preliminary report didn't specifically blame the MCAS, but did mention that a boomed Ethiopian Airlines jet repeatedly nosedived before the crash. Ethiopian aviation officials say their investigation found no pilot error.
The crew obtained the license and qualifications to conduct the flight. Repetitive, uncommanded aircraft nose-down conditions are noticed. The crew performed all the procedures repeatedly provided by the manufacturer, but was not able to control the aircraft.
The findings drew the strong link between the March 10 crash in Ethiopia and an October crash off the coast of Indonesia. Both involved Boeing 737 MAX 8, and all 346 people on the 2 planes were killed. The investigators have recommended that Boeing review a corrective flight control unit and for other authorities to confirm changes made before the grounded 737 MAX 8 can fly again. The Ethiopian government is preparing to take legal action against the U.S. manufacturer.
Meanwhile, a family of one of the victims of the plane crash has filed a lawsuit against Boeing for the death of their daughter. Speaking in Chicago, the family also accused the American Federal Aviation Administration for not conducting independent tests to ensure the plane's safety. The couples have lost their daughter, called Stumo, in the recent Ethiopian Boeing 737 MAX 8 plane crash. Take a listen.
My wife, Nadia, woke me up early in the morning on March 10th to say that a plane crash had happened in Ethiopia. I did not believe Samia could be on that plane. I could not lose another child. But she was on the plane. I could not breathe. My son tore, paced, and sobbed. We drove 3 hours to New York City to find the earliest airplane to go to Addis.
We are one of 337 families with such huge holes because this aircraft didn't function. Samia and her fellow passengers shouldn't have died. Those in charge of creating and selling this plane did not treat Samia as they would their own daughters. We as passengers need to demand that planes be safe so that no one else dies. Profits should not come before safety, and we are making this effort here to help prevent a third crash.
As stated, we have brought a claim against the FAA. They were responsible for ensuring to the American public and to the world that the aircraft that was going to be flying, that aircraft was safe for flight. It is pretty clear they failed in that regard. Unfortunately, the FAA delegated much of its responsibility in making sure the component part, in this case the MCAS, the Maneuvering Characteristic Augmentation System, was safe. They delegated that responsibility to the manufacturer, Boeing, who had another motive of getting this aircraft out for sale. They should not have delegated that responsibility or as much responsibility to Boeing, and should have made their own independent determination that this system was safe.
The couple daughter's name was Samia. National Bank Governor Yinager Dese says Ethiopia's foreign currency reserve is rising. Ethiopia secures huge amount of foreign currency over the past months from export trade, FDI, remittances and loan. As for Yinager, the reserve will positively impact the economy. The governor added a lot has to be done to further increase the country's foreign currency reserves. The Ethiopian Textile Industry Development Institute says it has embarked on a 15-year national cotton development strategy to address the ever-growing demand of cotton in the country. Cotton producers and exporters have met to deal with cotton-related challenges and the ways out. Jerusalem Betha reports.
Ethiopia has ideal climate conditions for growing cotton and a significant amount of land potentially suitable for its production. However, the current domestic cotton production is below its potential. Data from 2018 indicates cotton demand is expected to grow to 120,000 tons, while the capacity lies approximately 50,000 tons. The consultation forum held on Friday discussed ways of maximizing the production and quality of cotton. Investors engaged on cotton farming raised some challenges in the industry.
I have been engaged on cotton production for the last 20 years. Our country's weather condition and soil are suitable for cotton production. However, we didn't use this potential due to many reasons. The government should take measures on tariffs for importing chemicals, spare parts and farming machines for us to increase our production and quality. I have been engaged in this sector for 25 years. The main problem for declined production is our dependence on rainfall. We should be using irrigation for an enhanced production. Lack of infrastructure is also preventing us from reaching to the market on time. Deficient collaboration among states is also another challenge.
The Ethiopian Textile Industry Development Institute admits the
their focus is for local supply and for local textiles mills. In terms of quality, what you have mentioned, our varieties are best in terms of quality, but the problem is quality in terms of contamination. So in avoiding such problem, we are organizing trainings, intensive trainings for cotton producers, how to collect or pick their cotton, how to transport, and on ginnery management system. So this training and technical supports may solve the problem, and we are sure it is even progressing well in terms of quality as well.
The institute is also working on a 15-year cotton development strategy to improve the textile and garment production, earn a better foreign currency, create more jobs, among others.
Currently what we are interfering is, already we designed the strategy majorly. So the strategy is designed for 15 years for the country. In that strategy, all the problems are identified, and at the end of 15 years, we have to be self-sufficient and export the surplus. So we are giving technical training for cotton producers, exposure visits, something like that. So it would serve or bring a good progress in the cotton sector.
The implementation of this strategy would enable Ethiopia to become top cotton producers, which currently stands 10th place in Africa.
German industrial company Siemens expressed its keenness to open a technology center in Ethiopia. The company CEO, Joe Kaiser, disclosed the plan during a meeting with Ethiopia's Innovation and Technology Minister Ethiopian English. GebreMariam brings you the rest of the story.
German industrial company Siemens is a renowned engineering excellency with 170 years service. Apart from production, the company offers multinational engineering, electrification and other similar services across the world. Recently, CEO of the company held discussions with Science and Innovation Minister Ethiopian English on building a technology center in Ethiopia.
They brought us certificate. All our higher industries use Siemens manufactured automation. We hold discussions with the company related to the opening of technology center in Ethiopia. It will create many job opportunities for youth trained by Siemens program.
The CEO said the company is ready to contribute share to Ethiopia's industrialization.
Interest is obviously that we give young people an opportunity to participate in the next generation of industrialization and automation.
Ethiopian English said the opening of the center helps Ethiopia to empower in technology and emulate experiences.
This center will help our graduate students to put in practice their theoretical knowledge. In our country, there is educated human power, but there is a gap. This gap filled by experience sharing.
It is recalled that other German Small Enterprise Association FESTO gave similar pledge, so the two technological centers are anticipated to play share in Ethiopia's transfer to industrialization.
Hello and thank you all for joining us. After this video, you're watching. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has issued a decree to raise the minimum wage and pension for Egyptians by about 80%. This comes amid an aggressive economic reform policy that has led to the scrapping of energy subsidies and the devaluation of the Egyptian pound. GebreMariam has more from CGTN.
The increase in minimum wage was announced during the celebrations of Women's Day in Egypt.
For all the employees, the minimum wage will increase from £12,000 to how much? How much do you think? We will not keep you guessing. The minimum wage has increased from £1,200 to £2,000.
This 80% rise in minimum wage and pension have cost the government 60 billion Egyptian pounds, about $5.5 billion. The minimum wage and pensions increase have been welcomed by most.
It had to happen a while ago because the people were suffering from inflation and expensive living conditions. So, this decision is very good for the people. It was a team. It is the correct move because the latest price increases should be met with the salary increase.
Most experts believe this move could also revitalize the economy.
The salary raise will not only support the low-income earners, but will also increase the purchasing power of Egyptians, and this will benefit the economy and give a boost to difficult sectors that have seen a slowdown in sales lately. It had to happen a while ago because the people were suffering from inflation and expensive living conditions. So, This decision is very good for the people.
The timing of the minimum wage increase comes at a crucial time as it precedes the constitutional referendum expected in April and the new set of subsidy cuts next June.